I'm out here riding today in the winter in New Zealand. It's June and I'm riding beside New Zealand's biggest lake. It's pretty cold out here because we got the mountains straight across the water from me. I'm lucky to have borrowed a bike for the day, and it's a mountain bike. It's typical of a bike that might be used on a cycle tour, and it's something a bit different for me. I'm going to give you guys a closer look at it and tell you some of the things that I like about this bike and some of the things that I don't like, and a few comparisons to the folding bike that I usually take on tour. So the bike I'm on today is a Giant mountain bike. Giant Alias. And it's got 26-inch wheels, shock absorbers at the front, disc brakes. I think it's got about 29 speeds on there. And on the back, it does have a luggage rack. It's got a drink bottle holder. These terrible things. And an Ortlieb waterproof pannier, which is something that I've never used before, but we'll have a look at that as well. It's got mud guards, and it also has a D-lock that attaches to the frame there. So it's a pretty basic bike. It's the kind of thing that a lot of people might reach for if they're going on a commuter ride, a daily ride, maybe just a bit of recreational riding around the lake. It's probably a lot better for use on the flat, and with these slick tires, it's not really made for going off-road. This is a really fast bike to ride, which is quite a lot different to what I'm used to on the folding bike. But there are a few things about this bike that I'm not totally keen on. And one thing I can tell you just straight out is the toe clips. I have no idea why anyone would want to use toe clips. They're such a hassle. They make it difficult to get on and off the bike. And I don't know. I'm just always nearly falling on my ass when I use toe clips. So this is what I'm talking about. These things here, so you jump on, you try and put your feet in there, they always flip over, and then if you're riding with your feet on top like that, this bit touches the ground. I don't know, I always nearly stack it into the handlebars just trying to put my feet in these, and this is not something that I would add to a bike at all. You'll have to let me know in the comments what the point is to this, because I could really just do without it. Once I do manage to get my feet into these pedals, there we go. One thing I realize is on the folding bike you have a much lower center of gravity. You sit quite a bit lower, and with the smaller wheels you just feel a little bit more balanced and in control. But with this bike, the speed really makes up for it. You're probably going twice as fast on a bike like this compared to a folding bike with the 20-inch wheels. There's other things I like about this bike. The wide handlebars. However, having said that, I'm not too keen on the riding posture. It's got this forwards facing riding posture. You kind of put your weight down on the handlebars. I like it a little bit better when you're sitting up straight. So that's something that the folding bike has, and the Dutch bikes also have, is you're sitting up quite straight. It's quite a mountain bike style posture to be forwards like this. It's a little unusual for me. The big thing about this bike that makes it something that people would reach for when they're going cycle touring is that it has a luggage rack on the back, and a pannier. So let's stop and have a look at those. I'm already finding it a pain to get off the bike, to dismount over that frame there. And it's not a huge frame either. I'm just really not used to it. I do really like a step through frame. Let's have a closer look at the pannier and the luggage rack that's on the back of this bike. Okay, so the luggage rack that's on this bike is pretty typical actually. It's one of these aluminium racks that can kind of fit onto like a bunch of different bikes. So they got these fittings here that allow you to sort of universally fit them onto a mountain bike, a touring bike, a commuter bike, or any other kind of bike. You can probably find these secondhand or brand new. But the pannier is something that I haven't seen before. And I've only just handled it just to put it on the bike before, so I know that if I lift this, that unlocks it from the mountain rack there. I'll give you a bit of a close-up look at that. So that's the little clip that attaches it, and just by lifting that handle you can unhook it. It's not a huge bag. It claims to be waterproof. It's actually pretty big on the inside. Okay, you can fit quite a bit of stuff in there. And if you had two of these, so you had one on either side, that'd be quite convenient. What I didn't realize that these things had, it's pretty obvious now looking at it, is it's got a hard inside bit, and that's the bit that goes against the wheel. And I guess that's so that if you have it packed full, it doesn't encroach on the wheel as it spins. It's pretty basic. There's a little pocket on the inside for a toolkit or whatever, and you just roll the top. Yeah, and that's that. I generally take a backpack, and it's this pack that I take, and I think that's about, I don't know, 15 litres or something, but I find it quite easy to take on the bike. I hang it over the handlebars on my folding bike, or you can just pop it on your back. It's just a small backpack. I wouldn't recommend carrying a very large backpack on your back while you're bike touring. You're going to end up like uncomfortable at the least. So the gears are something that I do enjoy. You can click through them and you can move quite quickly on a bike like this. Compared to the folding bike, I think if you're looking for speed and you're looking for some degree of comfort without a trade-off, if you're going to be on the bike for a very long time, I mean like hundreds of kilometers, a larger frame bike, a non-folding bike that can handle your gear and carry an awful lot of gear, that would be a good choice. If you're going to be traveling short distances, then hopping onto other forms of transport like trains and buses, airplanes, things like that, I think I'd always choose a folding bike. It just allows for more flexibility. When you jump on a big frame bike and you start off on a tour, you really commit to it. It's not like you can decide halfway through you want to catch a plane somewhere, and even a train becomes quite difficult. Now that bike lock could be pretty useful, especially if you're going to lock your bike to something, for instance that tree, and then go for a swim in this beautiful lake over here. Now I use one of these D-locks on tour, as well as a chain lock, and I do prefer the chain lock. It's just because you can sort of scrunch it up, pack it in your bag, you can wrap it around the frame. If I was going to go for a swim right now in that freezing lake, I could just lock the bike like this, immobilizing it. But I'm not going to go for a swim because it's winter and it's freezing. But there you go. pretty useful, having the D-lock and its little holder thing attached to the frame. I can tell you one thing that I'm really not enjoying on this bike is the seat. That is a very uncomfortable seat. If you're going to ride for any length of time, especially if you're touring, make sure you get the most comfortable seat that you can. Don't just stick with the factory seat or whatever comes with the bike. I mean, if this is acceptable for you, then go at it, but for me, I like to use a padded gel seat just to ensure maximum comfort. If you're going to be spending a lot of time on the bike, that's non-negotiable for me. Final thoughts on this bicycle. It's not entirely for me. I can see why a lot of people might buy them. It's certainly the thing that's most available. And if you don't know a lot about bikes, you might just end up with something like this. And the only way to tell if you like it is probably to ride it a long distance and just see how you feel about it. I'm going to stick to my folding bike, and if you want to see what a folding bike looks like on a long tour, then you can check out this video over here. My name's Andy, you've been watching Hobo Cyclist, and I'll see you in the next episode.